I bought this vintage phase guitar pedal on AliExpress recently. It was like $16, including free shipping. So this would be based on something like an MXR Phase 90 with op amps and FETs in the circuit. All it has is the on-off switch and a speed knob for the effect. And when I turned this on to test it out, it wasn't making any change to the sound. It was sounding maybe like the volume and EQ was a little bit different, so it is going through a circuit, but there was no phase effect being heard. And it's a metal case. It's very rugged, so I'm wondering if there's maybe just some sort of a short circuit, something got pinched off, if there's a wire inside. So I'm going to take this apart and look around and see what's happening. Taking it apart was straightforward, and I didn't see any obvious problems, although it had a sort of flimsy looking two-circuit board design. One had the main circuit and the other one had things like the audio jacks, and they were mated together with what looked like a header soldered on both boards and then joined in the middle, but I couldn't seem to separate that. So they must be just hardwired together, and it looks like it has components of a standard phase circuit, like a certain number of op amps and FETs. So I figured there's got to be something simple going on, and then I noticed there's a trim pot on one end of the board. I'm plugged into this little orange amp, so I have the MXR Phase 90, and I've got this other AliExpress phase effect plugged directly in. It's just using one of these couplers with a plug on each side. So guitar is coming in here. This is currently off, as is this. The output of here goes into here, and the output of here is going up to this orange amp. To do the testing, I'm just gonna play these open strings here, and I can turn the phase effects on or off. So with both of these off, it sounds like this. And I will turn on the AliExpress one, and we can hear a tonal difference, but there's no phase effect. So whether it's on or off, it's just more like it's doing some EQ. Now if I turn on the Phase 90 while we listen to those open strings, that's what we are expecting as a phase. I'm going to turn this effect on and then adjust the trim pot. So right now I moved it all the way clockwise, and I'm going to slowly move it counterclockwise. Now I'm starting to hear some sort of a phasing effect. And it's changing a bit as I keep changing the pot. Now it's kind of getting hissy, background, scratchy. Then it just starts clicking. So I'm going to play around with this and see where I land. I'm going to compare that to the Phase 90. Maybe this AliExpress one right now is a bit too intense. This one just feels smoother. Only a very slight adjustment takes away the depth of the effect, and it just gets a lot more subtle. I turned the speed down so I can get a better idea how it sounds when it's sweeping at the most intense part, and I'll adjust the other one slower. So there is a tonal difference here. There could be different EQing, but it's sounding very similar. It could be a difference also in dry and wet signals, the way they're mixing, however they buffered the signals. I think that's as close as I'm gonna get it. The only other differences I'm hearing at this point are just general sound quality or the mix of wet and dry within the effect, the original signal or the affected signal. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll put it back together as is and just make sure it still works. And I think I'll consider that problem fixed. It just needed setup from the factory. They probably just assembled it and threw it in the case. Now with this one back together, I'm going to try both of these. First with nothing on. So at least now this one works. The effect itself is not as pronounced as the Phase 90, but it is only a $16 pedal. Maybe it's as simple as changing a couple of resistors in there to change the gain on some things to make it more like the more popular product. Maybe that's for a future experiment.